Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome here and welcome back. I have another friend with me today. It's Raresh, and I will introduce him to you. He is a medical doctor trained in microbiology and family medicine, and he is also a trained midwife. And he also has studied practices in Chinese medicine and acupuncture. And more recently, he has completed a training in family constellations. This is a dear friend of mine that I met many years ago now in a spiritual school, we can say. That's right, Raresh. Yeah.
Good to be here, Henrik.
Oh, yeah. And so happy to have you here. And I remember when we first met, you gave me an acupuncture session, which was really, really good.
That was the second time we met, actually. The first time was in Sweden at a workshop you held.
I forgot that. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
I have a nice story from the first time we met. I think even in the first day, I remember so I came in, we met. I think I was the first one who arrived, and I was just hanging around, and I noticed my mind was very clear, much clearer than it had been my entire life. And I asked you what is happening the first time I got to talk to you, and you said, "Oh, part of the attending the workshop is leaving behind all the entities that normally give you your thoughts, and when you go back to your country, you can just say, 'No, thank you, I don't need them,'" and which I did, and my mind has been so much clearer and more peaceful since then. So that was one of the big shifts I had, even without thinking about it.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that was some time ago, many, many years.
Yeah, around more than 15 for sure.
Yes, yes. And now, so we thought or I asked you to come on this on the channel, and I asked you what you would like to talk about, and you are mostly interested in talking about family constellations.
Yes, that is what
And
I
so
am most psyched about right now. So
yes,
most
and
research.
I think that's wonderful because it is a way of healing, and you have helped me just the other day. Actually, you helped me with releasing a lot of things that made me much more free, I would say. Speaking on this channel, for example, it has made me, yeah, feel much more relaxed, which is a nice thing.
Happy to.
Okay, so I will leave over to you now. Yeah, what
Yeah,
would you
so
like?
normally we don't talk very much about family constellations since it's the experience of it cannot really be described in words now, can it? Like each experience is very unique to that person depending on what issue they bring up and what comes up in the field. But as a let's say an introduction, family constellation is a method of exploring one's let's say subconscious or even unconscious, like the hidden dynamics that we're not fully aware of. And usually, the way the method was developed, it was a group of people coming together with a facilitator that was guiding the constellation. And a person presents an issue and then picks representatives for whatever is relevant to that issue, usually coming back to oneself, one's mother, one's father, the core family, and then branching out however is necessary. And usually some hidden dynamic comes up, and it's not so much about um, trying to change so much as seeing what is and acknowledging what is, giving it a place in our hearts without judging and or without holding maybe grudges or whatever beliefs we had about a certain ancestor or a certain event that happened and impacted the family, or even maybe a certain emotion that is expressed very often in the family. And once that dynamic is seen and embraced, and also each person, usually the client, takes their place in the family system. Like, for example, usually children believe they are equal to the parents, or maybe even above the parents, bigger than the parents. And once they realize, okay, I'm just the child in this system, and they come back to that place, they can let go of a lot of burdens that they took on, trying to be in another position that they really are in their family system. So yeah, by witnessing what is in the system, um, a different kind of equilibrium can be found in the family system. So yeah, burdens can be returned to whoever they really belong to or in their origin. And yeah, as the child, usually in a family, you can receive a lot of support that maybe you was there all the time, but you did not allow yourself to receive, or you couldn't receive it because you wanted to be in another position than you actually were. And yeah, you can speak a bit about how that feels like in towards the end, because we had. Okay, so I'll mention this. Not always we can have like a happy ending in a constellation. Sometimes things can move as much as they can move. So the ideal position of the facilitator is neutral. Like when I do a facilitation of a family constellation, my goal is not to change something, is to witness what is, and to try to bring to light as much as possible, and to assist everyone in coming back to like their position in the family system. Like, for example, the position of the child. Um, and sometimes we don't get a happy ending. Sometimes the client isn't ready to move forward, or maybe the family system isn't ready to come to what we would say a happy ending, like when like the entire family system supporting the client. Sometimes the client needs a lot of time to move, to let the dynamics sink in. And yeah, sometimes it stops midway, maybe. But the work we did together had, I would say, nice resolution.
Mm. Yeah. And this is also something that is spreading all over the world. I assume there are TV series made and
Yes, that was
about
one
this,
CD.
and so it's becoming quite popular. And I
Yes.
can see why, actually. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I would say once you have an experience and you see people that maybe you didn't even know before, that they start to maybe act, like take on the mannerism or the words or the expressions of a family member, of your family member that they never met. It can be quite impactful when it's in person. But in recent years, it has begun to be done online, like we worked, because we're in different countries.
yeah.
And I will say, for whomever is ready, it works just as well. It's wonderful, just as well, whether it's in a group or it's one-on-one with the figurines, like we did. And I like the figurines. It's my
Yeah.
personal bias. I love the figurines. I think it's so much fun. I take it seriously, but I also think it's fun to work with the figurines.
Yeah. Okay, and I think you have prepared something for us to show the
Yes.
audience.
We can have a little demonstration today of something we call a blind constellation. So um, I normally have a more elaborate setup, as you know, but for today we will do a little more restricted setup. So what happens in blind constellation? We expose the client or the clients, because it can be done in a group, to certain, well, I have figurines, but it can be minerals, it can be other objects as well. And the client focuses on whatever their reaction is, and then at the end it is revealed what those figurines were actually representing, or what those objects were representing. So I will ask you, I will expose.
So normally I would know who
Yes,
these figurines are.
normally you would know.
Yeah.
But I will say the blind constellations, they work very well. Like I will share a bit of my own experience. I had a blind constellation once where I was so I had a few decisions thinking about a few options to take in my life. So I listed my options, even like another option that I did not think about. And then I chose some figurines, like the facilitator wrote the options down, and then they assigned some random numbers to them. I chose a few figurines, like she just said, pick one for number one, and I didn't know what number one was, like what option. So we spread them around, and then the figurine representing me went to each one of the blinded figurines, and I observed my own reactions, and I noted them down. And at the end, each one was revealed, and I think it was such a brilliant way for me to get an unbiased feedback of like not what I consciously think, like what what is my inner world saying about each of these options that I'm not fully aware of. And it was brilliant. Like a lot of interesting things came up that I wouldn't have thought about. Like, yeah. So
Just one question. Is there a theory behind this, how this could work in this way? Is there, uh, yeah, do you talk about that? Or
there
is
is
it just
a
something that,
Yeah, there is a theory about, but I think this theory came up after after Bert Hellinger, the person who synthesized the practice of family constellations. I think after he passed, this theory of the morphogenetic field by Rupert Sheldrake came on, and it's the theory goes something like, as far as I know, so I'm not I'm not an expert on it. As far as I know, it's like there's a field that connects each species. So, for example, he cites a very famous example of when a certain number of monkeys on an island learn to use a tool, then all the monkeys suddenly know and have the idea how to use
yeah,
that tool. So there's something like every even like natural world kingdoms, and meaning even minerals and plants, each has their own morphogenetic field, and if there's a beneficial change happening in one part of the field, it can spread to the entire field. And through that field, the theory is that we can access let's say the inner worlds of other people or their family systems. We can access them, and we can get this information that, when I, for example, represent someone's mother or someone's father, I don't know those people. I just say, okay, I'm not going to represent. I put myself in service of that person and their family system, and I'll just represent them. And yeah, I just follow what I feel in my body. That's what I really like about this work. It's not what you think is, so it's when you represent, it's not like, oh, I think his mom would do this or that. No, it's just how you feel. And usually it's okay. I feel some tightness in my chest, or I feel cold on my in my feet, or it's things like that. Not so much words. Sometimes it can be words, but the more you focus on the body, the truer it is to the essence of things. Because sometimes the words can be what we judge the the dynamic to be, not the pure dynamic. And yeah, I will say that a lot of constellations that Bert did, especially in the latter half of his life, his last few years, a lot of them had almost no words. It was just movement. Like he would instruct the people to just move however they felt, and it was pretty much silent. Like they just moved, and the dynamic would come up. So sometimes it can be like that. It's just like the people have this strong pull to do a physical movement when they are together. And I will say even in online constellations, when I represent, um, I would say the most impactful feedback that I give as a representative is saying, I feel like doing this movement. So I would say
mm,
the like I describing a physical movement usually has a bigger impact than saying, oh, I feel like this or I feel like that.
oh,
Because the movement is like, if it would happen in person, it would say so much more than you could ever speak in words. Like
wow.
just going and taking someone's hand, for example, or sitting behind someone. So yeah, the movement. Um, Okay, so let's try the blind constellation and
Yes.
yeah, okay, so you will remember what you felt, and I will also remember in case you forget. So I prepared four figurines, well, five, because one will be you, and I prepared another four, and each one of them will represent something or someone. I'm not telling you. You'll find out at the end, and yeah, you'll see what we'll see live actually. So this is not rehearsed. Henrik has literally no idea what is about to happen.
I'm nervous.
So we have the Nordic man, which will represent Henrik. Yeah,
Okay.
nice, strong man. Okay, so um, let me prepare these. Okay, 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 okay. I hope they do not fall.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see them, yeah?
Yes.
You see the figurines because it has a heavy cloak. Okay, so this is the first one that you will come to. Okay, so Henrik, imagine you are face to face with this blue figurine. No. Okay,
I I don't feel like falling down. I feel like
I
I
know.
would like to hug her.
Hug her.
Actually,
Okay.
yeah,
It's a good feeling overall, yeah?
yeah,
Okay. All right. So now we're going to this like Mexican or whatever
yeah.
a gunman.
I I feel like I don't really know him. It's like, oh, okay. I feel neutral. I would say it's like a bit curious.
Okay. And now we have this beautiful lady with the pink with the purple dark hair and the
Yeah,
lovely yellow dress.
and I feel a bit reserved
Okay.
towards her. Yeah,
Okay. And finally, this lady with the crown. I'll try to shift it. Hopefully. Okay. So you can see her better.
yeah. Well, I feel happy.
You feel
It's like,
happy.
yeah. Mm.
Okay. Maybe, Henrik, comment a bit on oh, comment a bit on how your feelings changed as the figurine shifted from one to another. In the end, do
What
you get a distinct feeling from each one of them?
a distinct feeling from each one of them. Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. So this was the first one that you saw, yeah? Okay. And I think you said you want to go and give her a hug, if I remember correctly. Okay.
Yeah.
So this was death. Interesting, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Then we moved on to this guy, and this was your father.
Oh,
So,
I,
okay, share
I
a
want
bit.
to get to know my father.
So share a bit, Henrik, as they are revealed. Do you feel that your feelings are, let's say, any less accurate as you discover
No,
this?
no,
No.
I don't think so. It's not that I'm. If that was death, that was. It's like I don't. I don't long for death, but I also don't feel any fear that I'm aware of. So I suppose this feeling is uh, confirming my feeling of death as nothing fearful at all.
Okay, good. Like a friendly attitude towards death.
Yes. Now I have done some work with my father. He has passed along since many years, and since he died, I have done work with him. So I think it's very appropriate that I would like to know him. Actually,
Lovely. Then we had this lovely lady,
yes.
and this is your mom.
Hmm. Yes. A bit reserved, I think I
Exactly.
said.
Yeah, a bit reserved, you said.
Yes, and maybe I am still a little bit reserved, although I have done a lot of work with her as well. Uh,
I will say with the parents. So I started this work, the family constellations work. I would say I was in a good place with my parents. Like no conflict. I mean there was conflict in the past. I worked on it, and but I started at a very good place with them, like loving them. And doing this work, I found a deeper love towards my parents, which yeah, I didn't even know it was possible. I was thrilled it was at neutral, like with my dad, and good with my mom. I thought it took so much work to get here, so I was very happy I got there. But now it's like a deep love that I was, yeah. I even now it's like when I think of them, it's I have such a deep love for them, and I feel such a deep love from them to me. It's yeah, it's wonderful. That's all I say. It's wonderful to become aware of love and just let it grow and get deeper. Yeah. So okay. And the last one,
yeah.
life. Life. So
Okay,
I had
life
no
and death.
idea what the figurines would be. I decided on the spot. I was thinking about some other things, but some other time.
Yeah. Okay, so happy with life and happy with death. Uh, okay, interesting. Really,
Yes.
really interesting.
Yeah. So I was saying these blind constellations are a good way of like just bringing out, I would say, facets of us that maybe we weren't fully aware of
Mhm.
when it comes to these things. And sometimes sometimes in constellations, um, people come to represent things that aren't very clear to us. Like, for example, someone who's missing from the family, and maybe they don't like the person, the client maybe had no idea who was missing from the family. It could be someone who was excluded from the family at some point, and they may never have met that person, but there may be a connection that they share with that person at the heart level, at the soul level. And sometimes we bring in people that don't necessarily represent someone like not even the facilitator knows. Like in this case, I knew what each of these represented. But sometimes you just bring in a person and there's no intellectual recognition, but there's a heart recognition. Like the client knows, okay, I know this person. We never met, but I know them. I always felt them in my heart. I know there was a connection there. So yeah, it's I would say it's magical, but I think it's just natural for humans to do this, to have this kind of awareness, I will say. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you offer these kinds of sessions with like one-to-one sessions with figurines?
Yes, like we worked. Yeah, for sure.
So if someone who watches this would like to meet you for a session, they could reach out to you.
Yes,
And
for sure. For sure.
okay, so we'll leave your contact info below in the description box.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share this, or I think you have actually, yeah, told us a lot. When you do that, it is now this is a very what we showed here is a very simple way of looking at it. When you and I when we did it, it's a little bit more complicated with what do you feel then, and where are they, in which direction do they stand, and so on.
Yes,
So
yes,
it,
for sure. Yes, yes.
yeah.
If like all is if so in the, let's say, original family constellation, like how it was intended in person, every little detail means something. So it's not if somebody looks at the ground or if somebody looks away, there's always some element there. And if the field moves in that direction, like if there is energy in that movement away or towards someone, we usually take notice of that. So yes, it can be much more complicated. But this was an easy exercise, and we say easy and simple, but sometimes for someone to like, I will give a little example. Like it's pretty common that men don't have the best relationship with their dad, and I speak from experience. Like it was a work in progress for many years. It still is. I'm sure it could get much better than it is. I'm open to that because I know it was good. Now it's great, and I know it can be greater. But starting out, it was rocky, to be polite about it. And usually it's for a man to connect, like we had this little connection here, to have this, okay, I want to know you better. Like even like if these were two people, and I would actually have you say, I want to know you better, because if you would, if you we had two people in front of me and I was facilitating, and I would actually encourage you, tell him, I want to know you better. There's a longing in me to know you better. And then you find out this is my dad. And if you never had if you had a lot of judgments with your dad, hypothetically speaking, of course, it's like just saying that I want to get to know you better. Like sometimes there's a lot of love in wanting to know someone better. There's love there, not just curiosity. And sometimes these blind constellations offer a workaround. Um, like it bypasses our judgments when we know that that's our dad. It's like dad, but it's like, okay, I want to know. I don't know who this person is, but I feel I want to know them. I feel there's some love and curiosity there. And then you find out it's my dad, and for a lot of people, it can be like, oh, there's a part of me that wants to know my dad. It's like it's not all bad. It's not all conflict. It's not all anger. There's genuinely a part of me that loves my dad. And for I would say for all people, but let's just say for most people, um, there is that desire to want to know your parents, to want to let love flow between you and your parents. I will say it's natural. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the genius of blind constellations. Sometimes you trick yourself into expressing love that maybe you weren't aware, and you wouldn't allow yourself normally to express it.
Yeah. Really nice and interesting and everything. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to have a session with Raresh, just go ahead. I would actually, yeah, I would uh, encourage you to do that. All right. So thank you so much, Raresh.
Thank you, Henrik. This was nice.
It
A bit
was really nice.
nervous, a bit nervous, but yeah, it was a nice experience.
Yeah. Okay. So bye everybody, and see you in the next video.